Let's see how we can set the web map extent when it initially opens using the ArcGIS API for Python. Open up the set webmap extent.py script from the web map settings folder. As of the ArcGIS API for Python 2.4, we have this extent property for our map object. So let's head over to the documentation for this extent property. Here we have the extent property for the map object. It gets or sets the map's extent. There's a note here that we must include the spatial reference in the extent dictionary. When setting, we must supply the spatial reference along with an xmax, xmin, ymax and ymin. And we can see an example here below that is going to look very similar to ours. From here, let's go to ArcGIS Online. Here we have the current state of our web map. I'm going to open it up in a map viewer so we can see the initial extent that this web map opens up at. And we can see here it is centered and zoomed to Galway in Ireland. Let's head back over to PyScripter. We first access ArcGIS Online. We then use the content manager get method and supply in our web map item ID, which I'll paste in now from my notepad. The get method returns an item object that will assign to a variable called webmap item. We'll then use that webmap item to create a map object, which will assign to a variable called webmap. We're first initially going to print the current extent to the screen using the extent property for our map object. I'll just comment out our first example here first, and we will run the script. And we can see that our extent was returned as a dictionary. We have a spatial reference there for 3857. We have our xmax, xmin, ymax and ymin. We'll comment out that print function and we're going to open up our example. We're going to set the extent to be zoomed out beyond Ireland. Here we are going to use WGS84, WKID 4326 and some longitude and latitude values. So we have our xmin, our ymin, our xmax, our ymax and our spatial reference. Because we are using a map object property to update the map, we must use the update method to commit that change. So we'll call our map object update method. I'll set the calling of the update method to equal status and then we will print that status to screen, hoping that it returns true, that the update was successful. So we'll run the script. Our script is complete, but before heading back over to ArcGIS Online, I'm going to comment out our example and I'm going to print the web map extent once more. So we'll run the script right now. And we can see, even though we used longitude and latitude WGS84 coordinates, it has been converted to the 3857 web Mercator coordinates. If I go up a little, I can see that the coordinates are different, which gives me confidence that our web map extent has been updated. Let's head over to ArcGIS Online and check it out. Here's our current extent. I'm going to refresh the web map. And we can see that our web map extent has been altered. In this video, we saw how we could alter the initial extent of the web map when it opens in ArcGIS Online.